Now, it has been 7 days since the historic 43-day government shutdown has come to an end, and the Senate is now looking to take up a big fiscal appropriations bill. The package is drawing criticism because of allegations of major wasteful spending. Now, critics argue that the spending bill is an attempt to fleece taxpayers, and if Congress does not rework the spending bill, it could possibly lead us into another manufactured spending crisis, lo and behold. So here to discuss this with us is Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union, Brandon Arnold. Brandon, thanks so much for being with us.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You know, Republicans this time around, they said they were going to change. They said they were going to save us money. They said they were going to shrink the size of government. But at the end of the day, spenders going to spend. Tell us what all, I think it's 4 different appropriations pieces that they want to tack onto this, and it's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, the shutdown, like you said, just ended a week ago, which was good news, obviously. But now they've started to pivot to the annual spending bills, which they were supposed to have done before October. But now they want to cram them all together in this big package of 4 appropriations bills, spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. Of course, what they don't want you to see is the fine print, the earmarks, the pork, the wasteful spending. But we spend hours at the National Taxpayers Union digging through the bill text and finding all sorts of nonsense, almost 2,900 earmarks in there, totaling well over $5 billion. That's our money that's being squandered to help members of Congress get reelected or to curry favor with certain individuals or businesses in their districts and states. Huge amount of waste, needs to go, absolutely.
All right, Brandon, give me some that'll really make me mad. I want to go to dinner angry tonight. Give me some real wasteful earmarks, will you?
Yeah, there's so much in there. I mean, there's $1 million that is going to the Atlanta Braves Foundation. I don't know if you like the Atlanta Braves or not, but guess what? That team is chock full of millionaires and owned by billionaires. They do not need $1 million of taxpayer money. We're also giving $1 million for oyster research in Mississippi. And if that's not enough, we're giving another $1 million to oyster research in Alabama, right next door. I don't think the oysters know which state they reside in, but either way, they're getting showered with pork barrel spending. There's things like an elephant statue that's being refurbished in New Jersey. There's squash courts being paid for in Baltimore, Maryland. So much waste. It is absolutely nauseating.
In defense of the oysters, I've come from the West Coast. I've also had PEE, East Coast oysters, and I will say that Gulf oysters are the best. So, you know.
We had pork barrel politics, now we have oyster barrel politics. This is not right. This is just not right.
Brandon, when it comes to the chatter that you're hearing up on Capitol Hill, especially on the Senate side, who's taken a stab at this, are you hearing some of the more fiscally minded Republicans saying, hey, we got to throttle this? Or does it seem like pretty much all of the Republican caucus in the upper chamber is unified behind it?
No, I think fortunately a lot of the fiscal conservatives are up in arms about this bill. There's a lot of what they call holds, that is a procedural method to slow down the bill, that are being placed by senators like Mike Lee, very conservative member, of course, out of Utah, Joni Ernst, who hates government waste and has done a really good job throughout her career in trying to limit the number of earmarks. So a number of conservatives have stood up and said, no, we can't go back to the bad old ways of wasting taxpayer dollars, especially at a time when our nation is $38 trillion in debt and counting. So thank goodness for those members standing up. Hopefully they will help to scrape out as many of these earmarks as possible, and we can proceed with more fiscally responsible legislation.
All right, so we'll stamp out, hopefully, some of these earmarks and wasteful spending, but there's still the big picture, which is we're still hurtling to $2 trillion a year deficits. We're 38, 39, 40, 41 trillion. We got Medicare and Social Security cliffs coming over the horizon, and no one's really taken a big stab at doing anything yet. I want to talk about 4 ideas that have been on the table for a long time, but no one executes. And tell me if these help. There's the high-risk federal programming that GAO warns us about every year. There's the dead people that could simply be taken off of all entitlement and aid programs just by the Social Security, giving a list of all the federal agencies of the dead people and checking them quickly. Then there are the sort of middlemen that gum up and make government more expensive, like the pension benefit, pharmacy benefit managers, and then those people who go out and sell Obamacare to people who don't need it, and folks like that. How much, if you just took those 3 things, which have been on the table for 2 decades by GAO, how much could we trim quickly without really breaking the bank?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars, no doubt about it. You talk about the master file. We don't have communication across government agencies. So the Social Security Administration maintains that master file, but other parts of the government might not know about it. So even though somebody's deceased, their Social Security benefits may have been cut off, but they may be getting benefits elsewhere. That's an enormous problem. Tons of waste there. The pharmacy benefit managers, those are middlemen. Those are scooping up the rebates that are supposed to go to patients, but these drug rebates are instead being held by pharmacy benefit managers to pad their own bottom line. So there's so much waste in the system. And yes, thank goodness for folks like the Government Accountability Office for flagging them. But flagging them's not enough. We need Congress to actually roll up their sleeves and do something about it. Unfortunately, they have been very slow to do so, if they've done so at all.
Right, yeah. Well, things move slowly around here, as we all know. Executive Vice President and National Taxpayers Union, Brandon Arnold, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.